When you saw that Simone was pulling out, at least for now, from the Olympics, what went through your mind? What was your reaction, Sean?
Well, I feel for her. I know that she's put in a lot of time and effort. It's been 5 years now since her last, Olympics, and knowing that she's kind of an elder statesman or stateswoman going out there and competing, that this would probably be one of her last Olympics, if not her last. She's not going out to Tokyo to to pull out. I know she put in a lot of time, a lot of effort to do that, and so it had to be something that was big, something that was weighing on her, something that was stressing her. So really looking at that was my thoughts were, I hope she's going to be okay, but also knowing that the competitor she is, that for her to make that decision, I was, happy to see that she had the wherewithal to sit there and say, look, this is something that, it is bothering me, and I'm not going to put myself through something or risk myself to get hurt or my teammates to get hurt because I'm not feeling right mentally to commit to going to do what I need to do.
So, for a gymnast, I'm guessing that when you are not mentally in the right space, it's not just a problem, it could be dangerous, right?
Definitely, definitely. And I think looking at a gymnast and some of the things that they're trying to accomplish out there, you have to be committed. And I think you have to be committed to what you want to do and your plan is. And if you're on the vault or bars or beam or whatever that may be, if you lack commitment, that could mean severe injury for yourself. It could be letting your teammates down, and a lot of times that can get in our own mind and get in our own head. And if we have doubt, that can kind of preclude a lot of negativity that ultimately leads to having a mistake or making an error and making matters worse.
I have to think that when you're called the greatest of all time, by definition, there's just an enormous amount of pressure just from that title, isn't there?
And that's the big thing is that when you set that bar so high, it can be really tough to replicate. And so a lot of times we want to go back to our preparation, go back to what led us to be the athlete that we are, as opposed to really focusing on the things that we can't control. We can't control that, we're the most decorated, gymnast in gymnastics history, women's gymnastics history, or that, we've done these certain, unbelievable, had these certain unbelievable accomplishments. A lot of times we want to sit there and say, well, right now, here's what my plan is. Here's what I'm going to do. And I need to focus on that as opposed to focusing on the things that are outside of my control.
Sean, give us an idea of what a normal amount of performance anxiety is. And then when is it time to actually maybe get help?
Looking at a guy like Tiger Woods, I know a couple years back when he won the Masters, after the third round, he was right up by the leaderboard. They did an interview with him. They asked him about nerves, and they asked him, hey, you haven't been up here in a while, and it's been 10 years since you've been chasing a major. Do you feel nervous? Do you feel a bit of pressure? He said, the day I don't feel pressure is the day I shouldn't be playing the sport. So nerves are normal. We're always going to feel nerves. We're going to feel pressure, and we're going to feel a sense of excitement. But if we can control that and keep that an ability to sit there and say, here's what I need to do, as opposed to here's what I don't need to do, then we can kind of battle through it. But sometimes when it feels like it's overwhelming, when it's too much, when my mind is racing, I'm obsessing over these thoughts. I'm worried about certain catastrophic outcomes. I'm worried about, an injury, and that it really is hindering me and stopping me from doing what I want to do. That's when we should start looking at maybe talking with somebody, or really kind of writing down our own thoughts and saying what's real and what's not. And if I can get a better understanding of what's real and what's the reality of it, and also what's the non-reality, then I can start kind of fleshing out some of those thoughts and saying, yes, this is a slight chance that this could happen, but this is not really the reality of it. I'm prepared for this. I've got myself in a position to be here. I'm going to go out there and compete at a high level. And if something does go wrong, I'm going to face adversity head on, as opposed to worrying about things I can't control.
What's your best advice for average, everyday people to manage performance anxiety?
We all deal with it. I think we all get it. I think from time to time, some it's a little bit more than others. Stress is real, and we handle stress in different ways. So I think understanding what creates stress for us, also understanding what, makes things worse, and having an outlet, what creates balance for us as well. What helps us kind of, slow it down and get us back to the place where we need to be, as opposed to worrying about those things that we can't control. And especially over the course of the last year and a half. I mean, we've done a lot of stressors, a lot of change. Change can create stress. And so helping us understand that these little moments are normal, but we also have ways to go about and kind of create a plan to get through it as opposed to dwelling on the outcome. So a lot of times I like to, tell clients and whether it's in business or whether it's in sport is let's not focus on the top of the mountain. Let's focus on that path to get to the top. And so instead of obsessing on why am I not there yet? Why am I not at the top of the mountain? Let's start focusing on what that process is to make that climb to the very top. If I could focus on that climb, a lot of times those outcomes can really, stay away, stay out of my mind and stop, stopping me from obsessing or being overwhelmed by it.
You talk about focusing on the outcome. I interviewed Deepak Chopra many years ago, and I know that Deepak is an avid golfer. And I said, do you have any golf advice? He said, well, let me tell you a story. He was golfing one time with a couple of people, and it was a par 3. There's the tee here, there's a pond and the green. The first 2 people hit the ball into the water, and then he hit the ball onto the green, and they said, how come you didn't hit it into the water? And he said, what water? And he said, so the takeaway is if you think about the outcome and not the process, he said, you will have a harder time to accomplish what you want to accomplish.
Definitely. And that's a great thought there. And even looking at that, our brains don't process the word don't, can't, and won't. And so it's almost a misnomer. If I tell myself don't think about a big red stop sign, that image in my mind is a big red stop sign, right? And so it's almost hindering us. And so the thing is that I want to say what I want to do as opposed to what I don't want to do. And so with Deepak, I'm sure he's telling himself, hey, it's 160 yards. Let's hit an 8-iron. Let's hit it on the green, as opposed to don't come up short like my other 2 guys and go in the water as well. But it's a lot about a mindset and really thinking about the things that, again, we want to do as opposed to what we don't. And when we have a set plan and a good plan moving forward, a lot of times we can accomplish those certain things that we want to go out there and accomplish.
What does the average person not know about mental preparedness and mental conditioning that you guys as experts know?
I think a lot of times we like to say the separation is in the preparation. So how we prepare helps us to get through certain moments, but also that negative moments are going to happen. And it can be really tough to be positive when a negative moment happens. And so a lot of times we talk about this concept of staying neutral, which is being in the middle. And I like to call it, this acronym WIN, what's important now. So what I need to do right now, as opposed to obsessing over the negative or telling myself it's going to be okay when I truly don't believe it's going to be okay, and figure out what I need to do to get through the situation. And if I can focus on that and create a plan, then I have a plan of action to help myself get through it. Or when I have success, understand what happened. And then I can say it's going to be okay because I have a plan in place to help myself, succeed.